Well, welcome back on another video. This game was between Magnus Carlsen and Vladislav Kovalov. This game was played in 2012 Blitz World Championship. This was round one and one of the most interesting games that I've come across in the recent times. So, you watched this clip, right? The clip where Magnus Carlsen is low down on time for like very long time. He's down on 2 minutes and 30 seconds because he's late. He's just late. He's late on the tournament for 5 minutes. And let's watch that clip. So we're back watching that clip, and you can see that Magnus was down for a very long time because he was late, and then he came back, and then he played the very amazing game. So we're going to review that. Vladislav Kovalov has the white pieces and Magnus has the black pieces. Let's begin reviewing it. E4 black Kovalov, and we get Magnus play E6. Pawn goes to D4, and we get classic French. Now, this is not called a classic French, but I would call that classic French because exchange variation is the one that I play. So knight comes to F3, and now we get bishop to D6, very classical variation. For many people, this just very looks like a Caro-Kann defense, because in the exchange variation Caro-Kann, the bishop is on E3 and the pawn is on D4 on the white side. So it's, for me, for my understanding, it's like a reverse Caro-Kann, so which is very interesting. Knight C3, castle C takes D4, rook E8. Check here, bishop e2, knight b7, and the game continues on. We get this very critical position where Magnus just uses his pieces, and after a few trades we get another trade and the game simplifies. So this is an endgame. This is what Magnus wanted. Magnus is down only to 30 seconds on the clock, and it's very important to him to trade off the pieces so that the moves would be very easy. It will be very hard to blunder. If there are less chances of moves, I guess there's less pieces, there is less chance to make a blunder. So Magnus wants that, and Magnus wants to keep the game going, and also he wants to play the endgame. Bishop d2, knight now pawn goes to f6, and we get very few exchanges. And now Magnus comes with the storm. Knight to d1, knight to e1 was a mistake because very simple reason. It is a very passive move. Now Magnus makes another mistake. One of the very first mistakes in the game. It is the move king f7. Instead, Magnus should have played b5. b5 would have restricted the opponent to use the bishop to plant itself, and also it would be very interesting that he would push the pawn on this side of the board to restrict the movement of the bishop. But we get king f7, a3, very nice move by Kovalov, restricting and not allowing that idea entirely. And now b5, Magnus goes for it, but it's a little bit too late. Rook c1 played by Kovalov, and you might think that Kovalov has coming out of this situation, but then rook d1, very bad mistake, and Magnus has the chance to play bishop takes a3 and just go for it. So Magnus has the idea, if you take and I take, I have a very big advantage. So Magnus has to see, but Magnus is very low on the clock, and he misses and plays b4, which is almost a very playable move, but it's a very very badly missed chance. Now we get a takes b4, and then we get bishop takes a4 b4. We get bishop here and rook here. The pawn is under attack. Kovalov has to defend it. Rook d2, g5, f3, h5, king f2, and we get a long grind in the end game where opponents shuffle the pieces and they try to do something. Magnus is definitely losing, not losing, but this is definitely a draw. I had to say that Magnus is definitely not winning in this position, but he still keeps the game going because he thinks there is a chance. So he pushes, he gives a check, and he uses his pieces. And now we can see that the evaluation said that Magnus has found some rhythm. Magnus has found some kind of rhythm that he can find it, he can pursue it, and he can destroy his enemy if he plays it correctly. We get knight takes c4, pawn takes, and now Magnus with a brilliant rook e3. This idea is very interesting. You attack the pawn here and you defend your pawns to march forward. We get rook to d4, and now we get pawn to b3 check. Now king goes to d2 and Magnus takes, and after Kovalov takes, Magnus just takes the pawn, and now he has a significant advantage. That kind of advantage can be very easily repulsed if the Vladislav Kovalov doesn't make any mistakes and Magnus Carlsen makes few blunders, which is not going to happen. I mean, when you're playing Magnus, you can expect him to make a blunder, and Magnus, with the beautiful technique, with the moves, and with the king pushes, and with this kind of advantage, it goes and goes and goes. It doesn't end, and after rook b2, the game ends. Kovalov resigns. You can't push the pawns are overwhelming. If you can't give a check because I just hide on your 4 square and this pawn is going to promote. You can't really push the pawn because I'm coming first, and yeah, this is just over. Everything just leads to death here, and a very nice game. Magnus being down on the clock and having only 30 seconds against his opponent's 3, and he just outperforms him, outplays him very easily in the end game that he started and he ensued. And this was one of the best games that I've come across on the recent periods. The table base was really showing that Magnus could have won this game very easily from the position where only 7 pieces were left, and Magnus used that advantage to destroy his opponent. Thank you guys for watching. It was an amazing game. Like and subscribe, and goodbye.